is the will to do right, do right, do right.
And we're live. Welcome to a brand new episode of tonight's show. Yeah, I'm not going to pronounce it.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Jeffrey. Nyarlathoptep. Nyarlathoptep.
Or Nyarlathotep.
Dude, I heard someone say Cthulhu was like Cthulhu, and I'm like,
Yeah, no.
So I skipped around on that little playlist. But so I'm your host, Jay Fry. It's easy, simple to remember. And with me is Sean. How's it going, Sean?
Same as always.
Mm-hmm. And in and out currently here, not to be said he will always be here, but he is at this given time. So let's give it up for Josh. How's it going, Josh? Like I said, not always here.
Hooray, Josh.
But sometimes here. We have a little bit of a format change up for you today. We are going to be possibly doing things differently. I'm not sure how differently, but there'll be some differently. So do we have an article to start out with, or we just talk about whatever while we get this headed in the right direction?
Let's start off with whatever. We can let people congregate. Right now we don't have a whole lot. It seems it's just Mike and Black Magic. So.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. What do we have that is not show related? Do we have Josh?
He's there lurking.
So if we do not have Josh, I could give you the rundown of the latest book I was reading.
Joy?
No, he's a Mary Sue. The character is just he had everything, like all the knowledge, all the prepared. Even his group was prepared, and they had like memorized call signs and situational presentations over the radio.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, this is my livelihood, and I'm not this prepped. It's like Secret Service has the president's call sign and then the emergency call sign. There's no third tier. Like, I think you guys prepped a little too much. But I was telling Josh, I just want a prepper who's at work when it happens, and it's like EMP or coronal mass ejection, whatever the question is. Not a terrorist attack or anything like that, but just widespread, just dead in the water. And the plane hits his retreat and destroys his home. Like, start over from there with just your get home bag in your car. Where do you go? Like, because oftentimes what they have to do is they have to go back and basically tell you the story of how they got into prepping at some point. And then, like, Angry American has a whole proper series. And, he explains, like, go into the gun safe and pick out the red folder. It'll instruct you on what you need to do from there. But at no point does it like sit you down and explain to you how you get your family to that spot. So having like on the fly, having to gain all your props would be like, it's like those movies where you follow that one person who starts on their first day of the job. Like that's basically what I want in a prepper book series. Like, start over from scratch. Like, good luck finding an edible plants book without an internet. Those aren't sitting around all over the place.
Libraries.
You think your library has the pamphlet on edible
pamphlet? No.
In your region?
No. Pamphlet? No. Well, luckily I live in a place where may not taste good, but you can eat just about everything.
but it's got its own armor.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's like Australia. It's the opposite of Australia. Like, you can't eat anything and everything will kill you.
Yeah. You can pretty much eat any cactus. You just got to get to it. Don't eat the spines. Some of them have poison on them, but if you can get to the fleshy bit, you can eat it.
Mm-hmm. Technically, there is no Kraken in the picture. That's Zeus who ordered the release of the Kraken.
Mike, where have you been? The Dewey Decimal System has been dead for 2 decades.
Yeah. My local library doesn't have a card catalog anymore. There's a computer with the
ISBN numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could at least go old school with, no power and figure out Dewey Decimal. You can't do shit with ISBN without a computer.
Yeah. I mean, there's usually sections, so you got that for you.
Well, and you're gonna have time. You just peruse.
Yeah. With like your Zippo, because they stopped putting windows in libraries when people started looting them.
Actually, out here, all of ours are naturally lit because we get a lot of sun, and it's cheaper than the electricity.
Well, I bet. Nice skylight.
Skylights, big, huge windows on the south and east side of the building. South and west side of the building, typically.
Every once in a while, I have to go to a government website when I'm not at work. And I do not do that on my own computer. So I go to the local library and borrow their computer for however long I need it. So I know we are no longer rocking the sweet Dewey Decimal and their 37 pull-out cabinets. But
it sucks too. I just had it down when we made the big switch.
Oh yeah, Dewey Decimal was easy as shit. Like, you go down the row for the first number, you go up the row for the second number. Third number is the level. Fourth number is the book in the row. Yay! And that's actually how you do the pentagon, too. A ring, B ring, C ring, D ring. And then the floor, and then the room. And that's all coherent. But you get on a battleship, and it's completely fucked up. Like, a battleship is like, or an aircraft carrier is even worse. They're separated into colors, and they're separated into levels, and then there's like machinery that blocks off certain levels. So you have to go down 2 floors, around, up, and back at it to get just from 301 to 305. Just all sorts of cluster jumbles. And you have to know where they are. And I'm like, there should be a slash or something to know that there's a workaround in order. And also, don't be tall and fat and be on a submarine. That's a problem.
Don't be tall and fat or be on any Navy ship. Hell, I'm too tall for most of them, and I'm not that huge.
Yeah, I'm wider than just doorways, so I have hindrances aplenty.
I squeeze through every port.
Speaking of, I went off on The Rock this weekend. Just for being like, and it wasn't even The Rock's fault. It was his director. But he's got a new movie where he plays an art thief and he wears really gay clothes, just fucking gay outfits from what I've seen in the pictures. Anyway, he has a scene where he pulls up to this whatever in a Porsche. And they were setting the scene and he's like, all right, get in the Porsche and then we'll shoot it from this angle and this is going to get in the port. Brock, can you get in the Porsche? Get the rest of the way in the Porsche. Are you stuck? Are you kidding me? Are you joking, The Rock? Because everyone calls him The Rock. So he got stuck and he couldn't get in or out of the Porsche. So They're like, are you kidding me, or can you not actually get out of the car? So I can't get in it. And the guy goes, well, that's 2020 for us. And I'm like, no, dickhead. People lost their jobs. People have been evicted from their homes. People have committed suicide in 2020. Your giant, massive movie star who is huge, not being able to get into an expensive luxury sports car is not 2020 for you. Like, fucking asses.
It's you failing to take account the size of the dude.
Yeah. It's like, did you not meet him before you scheduled this Porsche? Porsche.
Porsche?
Porsche.
Is it Porsche?
Yes.
No, but we're American, so we say Porsche.
Yeah.
But yes, if you talk to a German, they'll say Porsche.
Yes.
What the fuck am I going to talk to a German for?
Yes.
We won the war. It's Porsche.
Did we?
Yep.
Did we really win?
Ooh. Sean,
Oh, that's another thing.
going from a centrist point of view. He's deviating.
Yeah. There was some Michigan representative, I think, said that he told the story of his father who went to war in across the seas for freedom and for whatever. Anyways, that was a statement about his father. And some professor douchebag said, this congressperson elect thinks we went to war with... Not we went to war, his father. He's telling the story of his father. Like, cite your sources correctly if you're going to be a piece of shit. Like, maybe his father is one of the few individuals who joined voluntarily. You know, like, we're going to go to war. I'm part of the Allies.
Most people who joined World War II joined voluntarily.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a League of Their Own.
Yeah,
Is that World War?
that historical document.
No, I checked. I double checked. There is no crying in baseball.
Only BLM.
I called bullshit. I was a catcher, and when Dot caught that pitch thrown at her without even a flinch, I'm like, no, that hurts like shit.
Yeah, there's a reason the catcher's mitt is nice and bulky and padded.
That hurts like shit every time. But yeah, so I guess we can get started. We've got 7 people watching. 3 of them are probably active, so that's nice.
Yeah, we're good to go. So, what do you suppose the Kraken actually is?
Dominion.
I think it's Dominion. Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of behind on something. I just speculated that's what it possibly was, but what is this whole Kraken thing about? I mean, I have not been on Twitter at all for the past couple days.
Sidney Powell said that, I think it was on either CBS or Fox News, that she has mountains of evidence that are coming in so fast she feels like she's getting it from a fire hose, and that they're about to, quote unquote, release the Kraken on this election.
Now, people argue that the people who released the Kraken were ultimately killed by the Kraken. That's not true. Zeus released the Kraken. The people who tried to appease the Kraken were killed by the Kraken. Perseus stood up against the Kraken and defeated it.
Well, see, and that's what worries me too. In all of those myths and movies, the Kraken doesn't exactly win.
But the Kraken does still manage to completely destroy the structure that was in place before it.
That's true. Why are we getting feedback?
Is that feedback? Is that what that is?
It sounds like feedback.
No,
It sounds like a washer.
that's not.
What is it, Josh?
Is it a
I have
dog?
a guy that's he's putting in the toilet in one of my
He's
bathrooms.
wiggling on the wax ring, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Can't put in your own toilet?
Hey, the guy broke mine. He's replacing it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Is that like a house rule? Because I don't want to come over anymore.
Yes, it is. He broke it into little bitty tiny pieces.
Oof. So I mean, I don't like the comparison to Kraken, but it's not better if you like release the hounds. Those didn't do much better.
True.
I mean, point is, we're gonna release the shitstorm, and FYI, your milk can only bring 9 people to the yard anymore. Any more than that, and you're gonna have some issues in California.
And Chicago. And New York.
And Iowa. Did you hear about Ms. Reynolds?
I did not, but I'm sure I'll get an earful. I got some in-laws that live out there.
Yeah, if you can't maintain social distancing in your home, she requires you wear a mask. And I'm like, well, I mean, in my family, we sit down and we're pretty spaced out. It's a living room. Maybe 5 feet is the closest someone's next to me, except for the 3 family members who sit on the couch, and they're all the same family. So, my grandma's got a designated chair, then my aunt and her son, my brother, his son, my uncle just kind of roams around. Like, we got pretty good distance. I have my own chair. Head of the family. But we managed to keep, except at the dinner table where we're all fucking asshole to elbow, fighting over a drumstick.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put in the leaf to the table to fit everybody at the table this year.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to say that I became a very big fan of Gina Carano today.
Just now, or are you just catching up with what she's been doing?
Oh no, I've been a big fan, but she melted my heart when she posted Teddy Roosevelt's Yale speech today of the man in the arena.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say I've been a fan of Gina Carano for like a decade.
Really?
Yeah, when she was on American Gladiators, when she was too fat to fight at what was she too fat to fight for? She just done a movie, so she wasn't able to cut to weight.
She's
But then
pretty,
again,
but not hot.
yeah, well, she's the prettiest girl in UFC. But also, who played Mr. T? Something Jackson. I can't think of his name.
Quentin?
Quentin Jansen. Yeah, Rampage. He also did make weight right after 18. So there's just it happens sometimes. Is because you have to maintain your weight while you're in a movie, because you can't end up going and looking like a crackhead by the end of the film. So once that's over, and then there's additional reshoots, and then that's over, then you have to fight down to lose to get to fighting weight, and that's a little bit arduous task. So you eventually get there, and Hollywood wreaks havoc on them. It's the old weighing thing. But yeah, Gina Carano, I've known about her since she was fighting in Japan. She wasn't on social media back then, but I've known about her for well over a decade. When was American Gladiator redone? That's got to be like 2015 or so.
No, it's before that. That seems to me like it was the mid 2000s.
No, it wasn't that long ago. American Gladiator. No, the other one.
Yeah, the first one was actually way more popular than the second one ever was.
Oh yeah, there was no comparison. Tower and Turbo and Laser and Gemini and Dean Cain was on an episode. He had some moves.
Was he on the original?
Yeah,
Oh wow, didn't know that.
might have been Gladiator 2000. 2008 by Hulk Hogan. Is that the one with Gina Carano?
Don't know.
Battle Dome. Wolf. I remember Wolf. No, it doesn't look like it. Anyway, I don't know. Point is, she's right up my alley. She was in a movie called Haywire, and they totally Schwarzeneggered her. They used her moves and her body, but Gina Carano was Crush. Yeah, so it was 2008. So yeah, that's over a decade ago. The Rock's cousin, Tanae. But they dubbed over her voice and gave her somebody else's voice, like they did for Arnold Schwarzenegger in Hercules in New York.
Why? Just because her acting ability wasn't there? Because I mean, there's nothing wrong with her voice.
Yeah, that must have been it. It was weird.
She just couldn't deliver the lines the right way.
Which is weird. It was an action movie. There wasn't a lot of acting. Like at no point was like she under fire and she needed to have like a quiver in her voice and anything like that. It was just straight up delivery of lines.
That's weird.
I don't know why they did it. It's not like Dario Argento movie that's filmed in Italy and everyone just says their lines in their native language. So you have like 4 Americans, 3 Italians, and like 2 like beautiful French women, and they're all delivering their lines in whatever language, and they just dub over everything.
I would like to see that brought back in like a mainstream movie from Hollywood. Like, make a Chinese spy movie, and they won't ever do this because they're, part and parcel paid by China, but, make the Chinese the antagonists and have them film in their native Chinese and have it dubbed over like Kung Fu Theater.
Yeah, they do that. There's some weird stuff. Like there's Jackie Chan movies that are dubbed over. But Jackie Chan has fought Americans before, or even Canadians, and like they won't allow the Canadian to dub his own lines. Scott Adkins has done foreign films where he wasn't allowed to do his own English dub. Gary Daniels.
You know what it might be then? They might not have let her speak her own lines because then they have to grant her a SAG card. I mean, she's got one now.
It was her first film.
Yeah, so if you get on camera and say a line, they have to give you a SAG card. There's an extra in Being John Malkovich, the guy that throws the beer can at him at the side of the road, wasn't supposed to say anything, but because he said something when he threw the can, and they used that clip, they had to give him a SAG card.
Weird. Screen Actors Guilds are Nazis, man.
Pretty much.
Oh, there's that tongue rumbling. All right, what's our first story? Let's actually get into the stories.
You tell me which one you want to do first.
Let's go with the pedophile in DC.
That's this one. Block. All right, that's up.
So we had a pedophile in DC. All right, what's the next story? No, we had the Million Mega March, as we all know, and we had a perfectly peaceful protest, like they're supposed to be. And it was a pro-Trump rally, and somewhere between 17 and 1 million people showed up by all estimates, from very disingenuous MSNBC, where it was a couple dozen, to Kayleigh McEnany, who said it was well over 1 million.
My guess is it probably was a little bit over 100,000.
That's where I was, 110,000.
Yeah.
But again, there was really no sustainable viewpoint that would give you like a full grasp of it. Like,
Well, not only that, but I mean, they're all Republicans nominally. It's like herding cats. You know, they have independent thought. They're not all going to glom onto the main thing. They're going to wander in and wander out and, you know, do their own thing. That's kind of how independently individual-minded people work.
mm-hmm. Like the closest projection I got was because there was the the My Pillow guy was there at one point, and Casey from the Deployable Choir. So they had a pretty large audience.
Well, and my understanding was that there were also satellite events in most major cities.
Mm-hmm. And people who tuned in. Some of those numbers were in the hundreds of thousands on different channels, like low ass channels all the way to RT. RT doesn't really count because it's Russian propaganda, but man, will they cover some Trump shit. So at one point, there's a very controversial.
Ruptly? What's Ruptly? Is that an offshoot of RT, or is that something different?
Well, I mean, if you go to their page, they've started putting like things at the bottom to let you know like where their loyalties are, kind of like a viewer advisor.
Okay.
But some of those have disappeared, like the Young Turks disappeared. And they used to have, hey, Young Turks got 20 million from Qatar, just heads up.
I would imagine they've burned through most of that by now.
Yeah, fighting to keep from going union. So one of the more famous viral, if you will, clips that are going around and that has been attacked and re-attacked, and they tried to reframe it, is this old man walking and getting clipped by this fella. There was some jogging involved, if you get my drift. This fella who comes out of nowhere and clocks the guy while he's holding his stupid Black Lives Matter flag, and runs off, and then he gets basically curb stomped without the benefit of a concrete buttress to put his mouth on. But the videos then come out to show, hey, now that's not the full story. Grandpa was throwing hands beforehand. Your story's clipped. And then they show a clip story of him pushing against protesters who are protesting the protests. So these would be counter protesters because they're resist members, which kudos to you being resistors with your lockstep media and commercial advertisers and the supposedly incoming president of the United States. You guys all agreeing on everything. Super resist. Way to go. But there's also video even longer, which is not cut because it's live or it's recorded and put on the internet for 2.5 hours of your viewing pleasure. Is him initially getting attacked by these protesters, kicking the back of his shoes, slapping at him, pushing him around. Then he gets pissed and attacks back, open-handedly, only pushing people away. And then his attack, which is his attacker, Kenneth DeBerry, had a metal device up his sleeve that he used to clock this guy in the head, this old elderly gentleman. And he also had a gun on him. And he was recently released from prison for dicking kids under 16. And all sorts of other wonderful things that he's done in his past. Apparently he has a really long rap sheet. But as of this weekend, he got charged with aggravated assault and being a felon in possession of a firearm. He struck the victim, rendering him unconscious, and there's video to prove it. He was actually arrested with 3 other people, 2 of which were these fucking bitches that if you see someone being attacked at all during the MAGA march, those 2 fucking bitches were in it the entire time.
Yep.
Orange shower cap and orange shower cap and green hoodie chick.
Yep.
Just absolutely
like
out there everywhere.
6 of the assault videos.
Mm-hmm. And another chick as well. But just absolutely devastated. The guy stopped on him, stole his phone. Apparently he's a foreigner too, because his name's spelled just a little off.
Do they have his name in this article? I don't see it.
Oh, yeah, it's Alexis Doris Owens. Oh wait, no. No, that's one of the people who were. Yeah, that was the stomper is Alexis Doris Owens. So not foreign, just black. That explains the U in Alexis.
DeBerry is the assaulter
with the pipe and the gun, and that's absolutely a prison house move. Is to have something in your sleeve, not hit them with your fist, but hit them with it, because there's cameras in prisons.
Yeah, and because it doesn't look like a clean hit, so I was wondering why the guy, basically went lights out so fast. I didn't realize that there was a rod in his sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the bitches that was involved in all of the assaults that are on camera.
They have his Instagram. Underdog Barry. He now has over 1,000 followers. Fat Boy for Life. Hashtag 604 Faux Life. Hashtag Buy Faux Life. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag I Can't Breathe. Hashtag We Not Standing for This Shit No Mo. Hashtag DC or Nothing. The Epoch Times is repping this guy's freaking Instagram. That's a little weird. So he came to a march with literally a lead pipe and a gun. for the purpose of peacefully protesting.
And people are going to call him a hero.
Mm-hmm.
Not good people, mind you, just people.
And the media are pulling their own on both sides argument this time. There was attacks on both sides. I'm like, yeah, but there's no good people on both sides, are there? You know, you had an entire MAGA march throughout the day, zero violence. End of the march, they're starting to lose their numbers. Antifa comes in and literally starts flinging fireworks at people at dinner and attacking the actual peaceful protesters.
Are you sure they're fireworks or are they IEDs at this point?
They're fireworks, but they're more like destructive devices than IEDs because they don't actually explode, but they do send off flaming projectiles.
And how do they send off flaming projectiles?
Not explosions. Through a
They
chemical process of flagration.
Literally explode.
Yeah, fuck this guy. Right in the ear.
Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Mm.
And I mean, it just goes to show you how far the press will go to twist events to their narrative. And let's get right to the point. What is it with the people that are attacking Trump supporters all being kid diddlers?
Dude, that's my that is my number one concern. Are you the party of child fuckery or are you not? Because we are experiencing it in ridiculous numbers. We're talking like Catholic Church numbers, Boy Scouts of America numbers. Every other one we find, you're literally some sort of sexual assaulter. 2 of the 3 in Kenosha assaulted people sexually, child and or adults. The whole reason for the foundation of COVID, a literal rapist. This guy, rapist. The guy who shot Jay Proud / Poor Boy was
Well, he
a
was
former.
he was a felon. I don't know if he was a kid diddler.
Well, just he had some assaults.
Yeah.
Sexual assaults. So yeah. These are just that's a high number. Even
What's the name of the guy that got paralyzed when he went to the car?
Jacob Blake. Yeah,
Jacob Blake.
The reason for the Kenosha violence is what I said. But yeah, Jacob Blake was one. The one of the heads of the autonomous zone was accused of rape repeatedly and is sexually violent. And they admitted it and stepped away from what they were doing. It's just understand that if you are a sexually independent person and that's like your literal identity, people are going to try to fuck you any way they can. Like women, these feminists, what's a chimo?
Chomo.
Hey,
Chomo. It's Chomo, but she spelled it Chimo. Child molesters.
Oh. But yeah, they're just it's flagrant. Just
Yup.
It's disgusting. But I mean, you wonder why most feminists are man haters. It's because their time in college, they were surrounded by these people who were shitty men, if you can even call them men. Shitty allies. That should be a better term for it.
Something tells me this guy didn't go to college.
Bet he's still in college. In between prison visits.
I was gonna say, yeah, maybe on the state's nickel.
I got 2 degrees.
All right, so we'll switch over to the next one.
Which one's the next one?
Biden campaign operative, Texas state senator accused of mail-in ballot fraud. Note the date.
Yeah, that's important. So this was what would we call it? A month and a half. Well, figure the 15th. So that's half a month. Yeah, no, 25th. 25th to the 4th. All right, so you figure more than a month's lead up to the election, and a Texas state senator and a Harris County commissioner were caught orchestrating a ballot harvesting scheme.
Is this the Project Veritas stuff?
This is not. This is prior to that. This was just Harris County investigators who came across this.
And for those who don't know, Stephen, would you like to tell us where Harris County is? I happen to know, but it's because I live just north of there.
When you ask chat stuff, now you have to wait 47 seconds. So.
Yeah, I know. Stephen may or may not be here. But it's Houston.
Yep. So according to testimony, ballot harvesters collected absentee ballots from the elderly in nursing homes and from the homeless and from unsuspecting residents' mailboxes. Then they completed the ballots and forged signatures of the voters. Witnesses also told investigators that 2 employees in the Harris County Clerk's office are facilitating the operation and working to mix the forged ballots in with legally submitted ballots. Hey, Stephen, he gets it right eventually. The affidavit also alleges that the previous county clerk, Diane Tautman, was abruptly resigned in May and was aware of the illegal activities in the investigation. And this is all because over 200 or 450, I think it was 457 illegal ballots had been found since 2004. 457 since 2004 voter fraud. Now, I don't know if those are separate cases because it says that it has prosecuted 257 instances of fraud since 2004. Not necessarily individual or in groups, because this is the Gregg County Commissioner and conspirators were indicted on 137 counts of voter fraud in 2018 election.
That's just the 2018 election.
Yeah, official won by only 5 votes. So this is the 2020, and literally this is evidence that the media could have found. I found it, and I'm half retarded. And Sean's seen it, he's whole retarded. So this is what we're talking about.
I gotta tell you. This is I'm kind of retarded.
I'm in this castle. It's in Illinois. It's on a mountain. Or Indiana. It's on a mountain. Eating pizza with Temple.
Missouri. Temple is in Missouri.
I was like, I don't think there's any mountains in Indiana, Alex. Firing squad, Bill Gates. Oh, this is over. We're done now. Could have dropped an F-bomb, but I went with firing squads and Bill Gates. I swear to God, he didn't say put Bill Gates in front of a firing squad. He was talking about death panels and that Bill Gates would result to firing squads.
I do believe he called for the head of Fauci at some point.
Bill Gates called for that of Fauci?
No, not Bill Gates. Alex Jones.
I was going to say.
But, Dr. Fauci not doing himself any favors this week either.
Yeah. Oh, transition. I got this. Hold on. I gotta get to the.
I don't have that article up, but yeah.
The wonderful and ever very helpful Dr. Anthony Fauci has new guidance for COVID-19. Do what you're told, America.
Yeah. Americans have an independent spirit, but now is the time to do what you're told. Uh-huh.
That is in an interview Thursday with a Corona Task Force member, an infectious disease expert pushed back on the notion that scientists were authoritarian for promoting strict lockdowns. He said, "I am not authoritarian, and you need to listen to my authority and do what you're told." Good Lord.
Yeah. Well, he's bucking for a position in the Biden administration.
Well, I should. He was fricking Hillary Clinton's man in the inside.
It's
So,
still, once I learned that he predicted this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and then I think he even had one back in 2014 where he predicted this. He didn't have a date, but he said it's coming. And he actually said it was going to be a coronavirus.
Yeah, well, we know from Alex Jones talking to Tim Pool, who Tim Pool investigated the claim that in one of the Carolinas, they were doing coronavirus research, and Fauci had funded it.
Mm-hmm. And then that's when they got caught. They were told by a court, you can't do that in the United States of America. And what did they do? They moved that research to Wuhan.
Mm-hmm.
Guess where the virus originated? Oh, yeah, Wuhan.
You know, this is all documented and cross-referenced because Tim Pool's a jackass who can't just let Alex Jones rant in peace while we can blow him off for not being accurate, and then he has to prove everything accurately. And the only thing in that entire damn 3.5 hours that they managed to correct was apparently Margaret Singer was talking about retards and not blacks who are mentally retarded. Congratulations, Alex Jones. You're a liar. But Margaret Sanger did give Martin Luther King received an Alex Sanger award. He didn't actually collect it, but he was issued one.
Okay.
So I think there was like a reconnection of her attempting to better herself after Hitler ended up not getting his way.
Yeah, I am shocked. Well, I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but because of the fatherless issue in that community. But I am surprised there aren't more black people that are anti-abortion.
Well, no. I mean, back in the 50s, it would have been unheard of because they were a very tight-knit community. Or back during the roaring black. Where the fuck is Josh? You here? Josh isn't here. I want to talk about Black Wall Street.
He's our local authority.
Well, yeah, his fucking mayor's put millions of dollars into investigating Black Wall Street. But yeah, back in the day, they were a very close-knit community because they had attackers on all sides. Like, yeah, there's racism in America, but there's racism in every community. Do you think black people were rushing to let the whites into their groups, or vice versa? No. Every group has in preference and out preference. That's just the way it is. But yeah, point is, Anthony Fauci's a piece of shit. Who doesn't want you to have Thanksgiving? He doesn't want you to have nanas, mashed potatoes, or green bean casserole, depending on where you are.
Gretchen Whitmer is trying to steal Christmas already.
Yeah.
How the Gretch stole Christmas. which
What a
is
bitch.
perfect.
They're trying to vote her out. She just very recently, they wanted to make it a felony for voter fraud in Michigan. She vetoed it.
Gee, I wonder why.
She said, like her. Okay, so here's her reasoning behind it. Hey, Josh is back.
Yeah, sorry. I had to deal with a small mini crisis.
You missed out on a great little conversation about Black Wall Street.
Oh, what did I miss out on?
Wall Street and they're black, so it was a good thing.
Oh.
So they, she said that say you get a ballot at the beginning of October and you fill it out and then you send it in, and you forget that you actually voted, and you by just complete accident fill out a second one and send it in. I don't want that person prosecuted with a felony because they forgot they voted.
How do you forget you voted?
How do you forget you went and you got a ballot, filled it out, and returned it? But she said she didn't want to cause confusion. So that was her basis for it. I would like to see her pulled aside and fired by Michigan. Pretty please.
I know there's a contingent working on it, and she's not doing herself any favors trying to stem the tide. I can tell you that much. I have no idea how somebody thinks that they can do what she's done and expect to make it through.
Well, we got not de Blasio, but Cuomo in New York is just completely denying that COVID carriers were put in nursing homes at all, and he's kept you from visiting nursing homes.
Yeah,
and Crowder tried to go to what?
No, go ahead.
And Crowder tried to go to Michigan to investigate it himself, and he was completely not permitted to. They shut him down. Hard.
Yeah. So the thing is that they were lauding Cuomo in the press for putting COVID patients in nursing homes. It was documented. And I don't understand how you can... Well, I can, because he has to, because it turned out to be such a galactically bad idea. But denying that reality that's documented, we can point to it and say, no, that's you. That's your signature. You did that. Oh, no, I didn't. That was somebody else. That never happened. What? And then
or in Michigan. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's like, I am America's greatest governor. I've got all these people singing my praises. I'm like, yeah, because they're idiots. You're not listening to the people that are actually saying the bad things about you, or considering that what they say is bad about you is in fact bad.
Yeah. And in Michigan, we have video evidence of it. Like, for the longest time, I thought that the black guy, the 20-year-old black guy beating up on the 80-year-old man was an orderly for like 2-3 days.
Yep.
Before we understood that, because he was in scrubs, before we understood that was not an employee at the elderly care center, because you think elderly care center, it takes care of elderly people. No, he was in their facility as a patient because they put COVID carriers in the elderly centers. That's the place you don't want them. Literally, if there is a place you should ban a sick person from going, it's there.
They did the opposite of that and thought it was a good idea.
Which Fox News weather girl directly blamed Cuomo? Janice Dean? Because Janice Dean's up there. Like, my grandma's barely alive and she's 87. I'm only 40.
Well, and Yeah, what kills me about this is it's probably a case of their advisors telling them that this is a good idea, this is what the CDC recommends, or this is what, the learned people in virology, think that this is a good idea. It's a problem for this age group, so we're just going to, they're infected anyway, so we're just going to put the infected in with them, and that way we can contain the infection in one physical location. You're not realizing that, it just compromises more than not. And the governors put their fucking signatures on it, and then didn't know, they're the ones that are going to take the fall for it, even though it was their advisors saying, no, this is what they're going to do in New York. This is what we should do in Michigan. This is what we're going to do. All these states are going to do it. You need to be in the forefront. This will get you a big win.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be the opposite.
I don't remember if you guys remember back in March, one of the first major centers for the COVID in America was in Washington State in a nursing home. I'm like, of course it's in a nursing home. They're the most likely and to die from this. How did they get there? That's crazy. Turns out they were put there. It wasn't an elderly person with COVID. It was somebody with COVID put in a nursing home, and it spread like wildfire.
Well, and given that this is, because Trudeau slipped up and said, the quiet part out loud, that this is all part and parcel of the Great Reset and that COVID's an opportunity, maybe there's a grandiose plan, and I've got no evidence of this, so this is just mere speculation and tinfoil hattery, but maybe population control was the goal. And them putting COVID-positive patients in old folks' homes was to clear out the old folks' homes, reduce population, and get rid of those pesky conservative-type Trump voters that the elderly tend to be, and help secure an election.
Mm-hmm. To the tune of 130,000 Americans. But yeah, his ass, what bothers, well, she doesn't ask any, she doesn't ask shit, it's a statement. Well, what bothers me about Cuomo is the amount of national airtime he gets. What other governor gets that much voice? Yeah, that's the perks of having a brother on a news program.
What kills
Cuomo,
me is that neither one of these two has got it on merit. They've all got it from daddy's name recognition.
Mm-hmm. Both Cuomos. And,
fucking dynastic rule. They think they're goddamn aristocracy and they need to be put down.
Easy, killer. That's how we get Alex Jones off the program.
I meant just put down and curb stomped. I don't want them dead. If they want to take a dirt nap, that's on them.
Thank you for that clarification. That's
well, I mean, if we're gonna curb stomp people, let's get the people that really matter, not some old geezer who just happens to be pro-Trump or some useful idiot for Black Lives Matter.
That's super helpful, right there. What's the next one we got?
Well, there's Trudy. We can talk about Trudy.
I have one that irks me. If you guys want to discuss it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, all right.
Farm tools were designed for men. That's a problem for the increasing number of female farmers.
How? I've never seen a backhoe with a dick slot. What the?
Would you like me to read just the very first line?
Is this right up there with the air conditioning is sexist? Like,
yeah,
what tool's actually made for men? Go on.
Men have long dominated the farming world. So, not surprisingly, farm equipment, things like tractors, tillers, or hand tools, are designed to be used by male farmers. Female-friendly tools are hard to come by, and with more women farming every year, that presents a safety issue.
Make your own tools.
They have done it. Dusty Spurgeon is a proud-to-be female farmer. She and her mother-in-law, Eloise, run Spurgeon Veggies, a small vegetable farm located in Rio, Illinois.
Spurge.
When I talk to some of my customers, They really like bringing their kids out there because they see me or Eloise as a role model for their young kids, says Spurgeon. It's like, hey, look, women can do these traditionally male jobs. I'm sure that's what they're thinking. However, as a woman-owned and operated business, one of the biggest hurdles they face is their farm equipment. The farm equipment is literally oppressing the women's. So that's basically what we're getting. Especially their John Deere tractor. It presents a myriad of problems, all stemming from the fact that it was designed with a man's upper body strength in mind. For example, tractors often pull different implements from behind, including plowers, tillers, and mowers. Switching those implements out is no small feat. It requires a lot of upper body strength. You're trying to do a lot of things all at once. The equipment's going to be heavy. Yes.
There's no power steering on a tractor.
Yeah, there is. They have power steering on tractors.
Yo, I was making a sarcastic statement.
Yeah. I can only hold it up for so long, Spurgeon says, so if I can get it on with the first couple of minutes, I can't hold it anymore because my shoulders give out. And it's not just switching out the tractor's implements. It's everything about the way the tractor's designed. She finds the parking brake almost impossible to engage. The fuel tank is located at the top of the tractor, meaning Spurgeon has to lift a heavy fuel can up above her head to gas it up. Okay, they're just using gravity at that point for fuel.
You know, I've never met like a big farmer. You know, like they're always kind of wiry.
Yeah,
like you see a lumberjacker.
There are some big farmers out there.
Well, there's just big motherfuckers out there, but you know, like especially in like corn country. The corn huskers are fucking giants, but like my Uncle Shelby was a farmer his whole life. My Uncle Shelby weighed 117 pounds. That's on a good day after a hearty meal. Yeah. He was a small man, wiry as they come, strong as an ox, little strong guy. And his wife would whip his ass because she did a lot of the livestock carrying, and that's basically wrestling a pig.
Yeah,
like they were a strong couple. She could have done anything he could have done, and probably better. Because if she wasn't beating the shit out of pigs and cows, she was beating the shit out of dough for pies.
Right.
Well, let's take this article for what it is. It's an admission that there's a biological difference between the sexes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know of a single farm tool that you can't get in a child size. Like S-Wing makes adult axes and the same axes for children. Like hoes, rakes, things like that. The only thing I really don't find in children's sizes that I do in adults for tools is snow shovels. And I'm from Michigan. It's not like I'm saying that from being a native Tennesseer. But
yeah. So do you want me to finish the article?
Yeah, go ahead. Give it to me.
Okay. The tractor also has a safety bar that must be up while in use. Spurgeon estimates you need about 50 pounds of lifting power to get it up over your head.
Why not?
It's got a safety bar that must be up while in use. Basically, she's talking about the roll hoop.
50 pounds of lifting force? I find that suspicious.
I find it very suspicious as well. And she doesn't even have that big of a tractor. It's like a little bitty tiny thing.
Like a Kubota 100.
It's like a John Deere.
I was gonna say it's bigger than that. It's just not a combine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not even. I mean, it's like a really small tractor with a small front end loader on it. But anyway, my body is completely exhausted by the end of the day, Spurgeon says. During the busy season, I'm out here when the sun goes up until it goes down, and then sometimes into the night. And that's like 6 days a week that we're doing that. It's really hard. Yeah, Farming is hard work.
Yeah, that's why most people don't do it.
Do it.
You know, there's cattle farmers who literally have to rustle calves until they're strong enough to rustle bulls.
Yep.
These
Now-
are-
Let's just point out what this article is. This is the woman's angle. And this might be sexist. Hell, it probably is. I don't fucking care. Women would rather bitch about something than take this for the opportunity it is to create and innovate new tools that meet their own criteria.
Well, it kind of gets to that. Farming is a physically demanding job, no matter your body type. Women, however, are at a particular disadvantage when it comes to farming equipment.
Women most affected?
Women most affected when it comes to farm equipment. These were designed for people of a certain weight and a certain height, pretty much reflective of the male population in the United States, says Josie Rudolphi, who researches agricultural safety and health at the University of Illinois. The problem, she says, is that everything is designed with a tall, heavy, and strong male body in mind. Therefore, some equipment is simply too heavy for the average woman. Some women have trouble reaching the brake on a tractor. Hand tool grips are often too large for the average woman's hand. She says this can result in less productivity on the farm.
I'm gonna get Diz in here, see if she can spread some light on. She happens to have a garden.
Yeah, she has a garden. Women are very, very capable of running these pieces of equipment. Sometimes getting them started or reaching the brake and the clutch at the same time creates a challenge just based on the size and nature of some women, Rudolphi says. Farming is already a dangerous job, Rudolphi says, and for women, the potential for injury is high. We see a lot of musculoskeletal conditions, so that low back pain, shoulder pain, elbow pain, and knee pain, and that a lot of times emerges from repetitive movement, awkward posture, and performing work without appropriate tools, says Rudolphi. Certainly using a tool that's not designed for you is certainly an example of not having the right tool for the job.
I have yet to meet a farmer, male or female, that doesn't complain of muscle aches, pains, and putting in long, grueling, hard hours.
Exactly.
I've met farmers that didn't complain, but you absolutely saw it.
It ain't much. Anyway, I'm going to get into another part of the story. This is an article on NPR, mind you.
Of course.
Let's
Of course
defund
it is.
them. Left, and middle.
Yeah. So this next part of the article is called Ergonomics.
Ergonomics?
Yes.
Can we nuke it from orbit at this point?
I wish. Liz Bredsinger and Ann Adams have had enough of the heavy, hard-to-use farming equipment. With backgrounds in public health, the pair set out to find tools that were ergonomically designed with their bodies in mind. Good for you. There were companies that painted crappy tools pink and called them ladies' tools, Bersinger says, but we couldn't find a single case of tools or equipment in the ag sector that had been scientifically designed to work well for women. Brensinger and Adams wanted to change that. They co-founded Green Heron Tools, a company that focuses on researching and designing tools and machinery designed for women. We use a scientific design process to match the tool, not just to anthropometrics kind of size and shape and function of women's bodies, but also how women tend to work, which is different from how men tend to work. Again, we've been saying this.
Are they saying that the hands of a woman are anthropomorphically different than the hands of a man?
Yes. Having trademarked the term ergonomic, their female-friendly tools are generally lighter, have patented grips to accommodate smaller hands, and come in a variety of sizes. For example, their spading fork capitalizes on the user's lower body strength by enlarging the fork's step. They're currently developing a walk-behind tiller that's lighter, more steady, and battery-operated to avoid pull chain mishaps. they've received grants from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA Small Business Innovation Research Program, to develop these tools. So they're using taxpayer dollars.
I'm actually
Go
okay
figure.
with that. I mean, if we're giving farmer subsidies at all, I don't see a problem with that. I mean, it's okay. That's fine. Whatever. Yeah, give people tools that work better. I'm all for that.
Anyway, Bryn Singer says many of these tools work better for men too. The way I like to talk about it is they're nice to have for men, but they're need to have for women, she says. She says other manufacturers don't have financial incentive to change their tool design. In an email, a spokesperson for John Deere, one of the largest farm machinery manufacturers in the world, emphasized the company's commitment to customer fit and ease of use. As the process begins, the team uses digital models to account for a number of human factors, including height, weight, and reach, the statement reads. As design progresses, real people are invited to operate the equipment and validate the design. Those people are both men and women and represent various body sizes, shapes, ages, and physical abilities to ensure confidence in the product design. There's just something really wrong with that picture. If Dusty Spurgeon is grateful for anything, it's that she's taller and stronger than the average woman. Is she, though? Is she?
She's 5'6".
It's almost like I'm not being taken seriously even by the powers that be, she says. I'm a pretty capable farmer, and it's really, really hard work, like physically. And I feel like having, there's that word, I feel, not I think, I feel.
Is that any better coming from a woman?
Not really. It's pretty much the same thing. I feel like having things that aren't made for me or don't have even me in mind makes it that much harder, and that's frustrating. More and more women are facing this problem every year. According to the USDA's most recent census of agriculture, roughly 36% of all farmers are female, and that rate has been increasing for the past decade.
Little lady, what you got right here, that's a man shovel.
Yeah. You need a woman shovel.
And women shouldn't be using shovels altogether, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a tool designed to leverage dirt from one position to another position using upper body strength. Well, our center of gravity, women, is our hips, not our chest. Yeah. Men have higher upper body strength because of your center of gravity. We have stronger legs. So, when I had to move a bunch of dirt, I put it in a wheelbarrow. I dumped out the wheelbarrow where I wanted the dirt, and I moved it around with my hands in less than a minute, when I spent 10 minutes trying to figure out how to move more than, 2 cups of dirt with a shovel. Also, I can't get the shovel into a significant amount of ground where I am. And that's not a me thing. My boyfriend had problems with it too.
I think you are located in a very southern state, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we have ridiculous clay.
You have clay.
Concrete when it's dry. It's a bog when it's wet. It's completely ridiculous. But regarding John Deere changing their design, the reason that their equipment is so popular and it is so reliable is because of their designs. If they go changing their designs for weaker people, they're just going to develop a line of shit that doesn't work as well. If you're out there trying to grow food, whether it's for your own personal use or it's for profit, and that's the only difference between gardening and farming. It's not about size. If you can sell your produce, then you're a farmer. It doesn't matter if you're doing it on a 1/4 acre suburban lot or if you're doing it, on 20 acres. The difference between a gardener and a farmer is selling what you grow. That's it.
Yeah.
So the large scale farmers that are women, and women have always been in farming because it has always been an entire family event.
Exactly. It's been an entire thing. I mean, the woman didn't just stay in the kitchen. No, she would actually go out and feed livestock. She would actually go out and do other things on the farm.
Yeah. Since the dawn of agriculture, it has been an entire family thing. So there are jobs that are easier for women to do, so they gravitate towards those. But, men would die and women would still have to run the farm. And so they've always been doing it. And these excuses about tools is really stupid because if this is your livelihood, and even if it's not your livelihood, like I don't have to go out there and garden, but I do. And I don't get help. I get very little help. Let me walk that back. My boyfriend's not an asshole. If I really need something, help with something, he'll come help me. But he expects that I do my hobby myself. And so I have had to scrap projects and start over and do something easier that's within my capabilities because I'm not able to do certain things. But I built garden beds. I built some out of wood. I built some out of bricks. I've moved all my own dirt. Uh, eh, that I can't see a situation where a woman couldn't elevate her plow or her tiller or whatever on some blocks to where that she could drop it down with gravity, with lining it up in a particular spot. Like you can mark the ground where your tires need to be in order to line up properly. There's no reason for an entire company to restructure their farming equipment designs in order for women to be able to do it better. Like if you have a weak grip, you can work on your grip. You're going to have to.
Yeah, it's
And
just
there's
more. It's
levers.
just more that
Yeah.
guys have the upper body strength to brute force stuff that women just aren't gonna have. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not inherently a bad thing. It's just that guys are gonna look at something and go, "Yeah, if I give that a little bit of elbow grease and some some thought, I can get that done much faster than having to line it up, get a lever, or do all the things that a woman's gonna have to do. It doesn't prohibit a woman from getting it done."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, it's hard for me to open jars, but like I can use a spoon to pry open the uh the seal so that I can get air in there so it's easier to open a jar. I can take it to my boyfriend. They have gadgets that I can hook onto the lid and turn it. And same thing, if I had a piece of farm equipment and I couldn't pull the clutch, then I could devise some sort of way
It's a block of
to
wood.
to squeeze that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that what she has a problem with is that there's a lever that you have to squeeze in order to activate the ability to maneuver it. We have a lawnmower that's kind of like that.
I'll
but-
I'll screenshot just so I can show you the size of tractor she's using.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
if
this
she used
is
a little less of her back and a little more of her brains, it would be helpful to her. But complaining about the height of your emergency brake is stupid.
Well, she just needs to upgrade her tractor, is what it sounds like to me, because these new John Deeres are goddamn luxury cars with all of their adjustability.
yeah, this is the tractor she's using.
With more software than a Navy jet, because it's all proprietary now.
Yeah, you're not allowed to work on your own equipment anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, not with John Deere on their proprietary computer stuff, but this she could probably work on. But yeah, I mean, that's still a relatively small piece of equipment. That's not that big of a piece of equipment.
Yeah, that's a beefy lawn tractor is all that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. No, that's not bad. I'm in several gardening groups and I'm
Of course.
friends with women who do farming, like on their own sometimes. Sometimes they have a husband. Sometimes they have a husband that doesn't care, and they're just doing this farm shit on their own. You can hire help for a day. There's even interns who want to get into farming, and believe it or not, you don't really just go out there and get a farming job.
Mm-mm.
There are interning stints at farms for college fellas.
And there's
And
day
people-
labor.
Yeah, you could do that, or you could take somebody in, teach them everything that you know so that they can grow and become their own farmer. I mean, that's how it works. It's like, it's not really something that you would go to school for unless you want a degree in agriculture so that you can understand better and educate yourself through the problems that you're going to have. But the entire process is trial and error.
Mhm.
So
Like there's a few things that are not common knowledge. For instance, if you do own a plot of land, if you grow anything, whatever your particular thing is, it's going to suck nutrients from your land, and in doing so, it's also going to put back other nutrients in that land. So if you grow cotton, it's going to take a specific set of nutrients out of the land. And it just so happens that if the next season you grow soy, it will suck out what the cotton put in and leave exactly what the cotton needs.
Yeah, they do
oh
that out
yeah.
here between corn, cotton, and alfalfa.
It's also how you got the Dust Bowl too.
You
Mhm.
rotate all those. You rotate all those crops, and the soil does really well.
Yeah, by not rotating crops, you get the dust bowl.
Yep.
Freaking Oklahoma. So that's something that needs to be taught because it's not something inherently understandable. It's not like chopping down a tree and understanding if you take more on this side than you do on the other side, it's going to fall this way. If it's a straight vertical tree, I mean, it doesn't matter how much you take from the left side if the right side is 20% heavier. Like it's not going to fall the direction you want. So like there's like a little common sense and a little ingenuity involved, but that's something you're not going to guess is
The way that we farm in this country is actually really, really inefficient. I guess it's great for corn when the bulk of the corn is going to be used for processing and other like fuel and stuff like that. But
fuel and food.
there's so much about the way that plants grow um, that the particular way, like having a cornfield and just growing corn or just growing cabbages or just growing like that one thing that you grow is so inefficient. And we use up way more farming land than we even need to, because if they were companion planting or doing anything like that, like you can reduce pest pressure that way. Instead of using pesticides, you can have almost a nearly chemical free garden just by planting a certain way.
Well, would the companion planting, would I be able to harvest my corn with a tractor and
Nope.
combine? Yeah, okay, so
That's
would
why
take,
cash crops are done that way. Is because it's more about the efficiency of the tools than the harvesting than it is about doing it in efficient or ecological manner.
Yeah,
we have
that
a
is
lot of land.
that is true. But the way that corn grows is that regardless of that, you do want your corn to be grown in blocks anyway because of the way that it pollinates. The tassels, there's a part that sends off pollen and there's a part that catches pollen. So the little hairs catch the pollen and then they turn like that brownish color that you get when you buy them at the store. Before that, they're golden, they're flaxen, almost white until they're pollinated. And if you don't have them planted closely together, then the wind isn't able to actually move the pollen around, so you're not going to get a crop. So corn, maybe in smaller blocks with nearby companion cropping would be a solution to that, like planting it in blocks that it would be one pass of your tractor and then putting a companion plant for corn and then another block of corn. But also, corn grows at the top of the stalk. So theoretically, the best things to grow with corn are squash and beans. But you could set, if you didn't have beans growing up your corn stalk, you could set your machine to cut at a certain height to get the corn.
You say so.
Are we still live?
And
Yes, Garrick.
Okay.
You're still live.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
That's I think it's because when you plow, and I think this completely has to do with grants. For instance, you because of the ethanol use in corn, we are going to grant you a certain amount of money for you to specifically plant just corn. And I think it kind of goes into whether or not other things are available or the wording of it. Because a lot of what we're doing, we're paying people not to grow food in certain instances. And that is basically a type of travesty when we have fields not going fallow, but not being used specifically because they're estimating rice futures or something like that. Like right now,
Yeah, it's a command economy in the agricultural market.
mhm. And they're not allowed. Like in your home garden, it's absolutely different. But on a large scale plot, you might specifically only be allowed a variety of 2 or 3 corns or one particular brand or strand at a time, and you could be paid not to grow any other thing on that.
that's true, but also with the GMO, the farmers that are growing the GMO crops, they can't. They could, but they're not allowed to save seed from the crop in order to grow it themselves. They have to purchase the seed
That's
from whoever
GMO
it
though.
is. Yeah, it is,
GMOs
but a lot of
will
corn
give
is
off
GMO.
retarded offsprings. They're specifically made to not have secondary life cycles. You have to get what are they called? Heritage.
Heirloom.
What? Heirloom.
Heirloom.
Thank you. Little late, Garrick, but better than never.
Yeah, well, I do what I can.
Heirloom seeds that will reproduce.
Yeah, and then the yields will be less because that's just the nature of what it is. And yeah, Monsanto wants their cut, so they make you buy their seed, and they're genetic freaks.
It is beneficial for them that you can't plant a second batch with the two bites of the same apple, if you will.
It's not necessarily that you can't and that you won't get the same crop, because with as much money as they're putting into their particular product, it's not going to be an F1 hybrid. And an F1 hybrid is what you get when you cross 2 plants, and that particular plant, that seeds will be an F1. And that just means that it's unstable. But after a few years of pollinating with the pollen, you can stabilize that product. So farmers could, over the course of 2 or 3 seasons, they could have a stable corn product that is that particular thing, but they're not allowed to. That's the problem, because all they're doing in order to make their whatever hybrid it is that they're doing, because they're not going into each kernel and fiddling around with the DNA in that specific kernel. They're growing a plant, and then they're having that plant and another plant like it pollinate each other to create more. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to have entire farms of their GMO product. It would be unsustainable, but that's how we get crosses of plants. That's how we get high yield heirlooms. And there are high yield heirlooms that were made the traditional way, by purposefully pollinating 2 plants enough times that the strain becomes stable.
Is Gretchen Whitmer allowing people to buy seeds yet? Do we know that? I mean, there's a while where she just wasn't letting you shop from that aisle of the store.
Yeah,
But has that been rescinded?
I don't know. I don't live in Michigan.
I don't
Me
know,
neither.
but there's a guy on YouTube. His name is Mi Gardener. He's been selling seeds this whole time. Like, I don't know why you couldn't get into that section of Home Depot, but Michigan gardeners have been getting seeds all year. It's,
Well, yeah, she literally
Well,
determined
On that
what
note,
aisle
I
you
have
could
to be
go
up very early in the morning, so I'm going to go ahead and hop off here.
down. Night, princess.
Everybody have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Night, Josh.
Night.
Good night, John.
Night, Josh.
Night, Gary.
Farewell.
Night, Diz. Night, Jay.
night.
She literally was keeping people like going certain, like you couldn't go down the paint aisle in Walmart. Like this is specifically for food. You're not there to enjoy yourselves. She was trying to control in a very authoritarian way every aspect of your life because she's a Democrat, and that's what they do.
I don't think anybody obeyed it.
They try not to, and I wouldn't be surprised. But it's a catastrophe. What other stories do we have still to go?
That's all I've got.
We had one that had two part. Oh no, we have the Biden says it's dark winter and COVID's going to go up because of the transition, and the Tucson article about there's going to be a spread because of the holidays.
Yeah, well, they've got to double down, triple down on the fear factor.
Yeah. So what Biden is saying is there's going to be deaths because the transition isn't going smoothly, even though Biden can't do shit until the 21st of January. But in reality, that all in context goes down to the fact that there are experts in the field of contagion who believe that there's likely going to be a rise in cases because people are going to reject the lockdown and cross-contaminate themselves with other family members during the holidays. That is specifically shopping for Christmas and Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and the holidays themselves. There's going to be an uptick. And we all know that because we've all gone holiday shopping, and it's just wall-to-wall with motherfuckers you don't want to see there.
Well,
So
they've got to up the fear and up the COVID, profile and attention span, so that when Joe does take over, he can enact his draconian, economy killing policies, and then suddenly be, once we're free and clear of the flu season, we'll be miraculously restored to normalcy thanks to Joe Biden.
Yeah.
From what I understand, major retailers are opting into the online shopping this year for Black Friday anyway, and aren't hosting major Black Friday sales in the stores. I think they
That'd
get
be
a lot
nice.
of better. I think they get better traffic from online sales anyway in recent years. So
Yeah, I was
I
going to
don't.
say for the last 5 years, that seems to have been the case anyway.
Yeah, people just prefer it, except for poor people. So, can we talk for a second about Draco and the word draconian?
Sure.
Because Draco did nothing wrong. He's a
You want to
guy.
actually talk about the rapper? Drake?
What? The guy in Rome. Like, he was just the guy that they chose as a people to be the first legislator, and all he did was take the laws that they had decided on, write them down with their consequences, and enforce them. Like, that's it. And they were harsh, but they came up with the rules themselves. Like, the worst thing that you could get was, of course, killed. And then the second to worst thing that you could get was banished. And they believed back then that the cities were safe and that the wilds were where the gods lived, or frolicked, or stayed, or whatever. So they were all scared of the wild. So getting thrown out into the wild where you couldn't come back into the city was like the second worst thing that could possibly happen to you. And all Draco did was enforce the law. That's it. So
Right,
any law enforcement at all is draconian.
Okay, but this is where history has been superseded by the usefulness of the term. So when you say draconian, it's got a connotation to it in the modern English language that's different. It's like decimation. Decimation only meant 10% of your force would be killed. That's not a huge loss in the terms of a military engagement of the day, and it was something they did to themselves as punishment. But when you say somebody is decimated, it has a different connotation than it did back when it was in use as its defining principle.
Well, I wouldn't want to be decimated.
Well, no, I mean you've got to
It's to my wrist.
Okay, let's look at it a different way. Decimation means you've got a 90% chance of survival.
Yeah, but not if someone personally decimates me and takes 10% of me.
Yeah, but
Right.
which 10% are they taking?
It's all random.
Like up to my wrist, or up to my elbow, or below my ankle, or like my dick. There's tons of 10% of me. That's a huge
How
amount.
did I know you were going there?
It's
They're
a,
going
it's
to
a
take the
penis
10% that
joke.
matters.
Anybody? Yeah, that's saying I have a big. First, the draconian Draco himself was an Athenian lawmaker, the Athenian lawmaker. So this is back at a time when we're talking about Athens as a state. This is at the same time when pandemonium has become a thing. Pan, for panic, Pan was the god of the wilderness, the wilds. That turned into something being very different from what it is today. Back in that time, to be crazy wasn't panic; it was Bacchus, the god of wine and drinkery, or that was the Roman god. Dionysus was the Greek god of drinking, but they had a version of craziness themselves. But to be sent out into the wilderness, to be in the wild in Pan's area, that was to want something of that nature is to be mad in your own right. That's how you
Wasn't
get.
it somewhat? Or no, that's a Latin word. I'm thinking of like hysteria. Never mind. I'm off on the wrong track.
Hysteria or hersteria? Let's be real here. It's 2020.
Well, it does.
But other that's a personal thing for me. I'm just a big Draco stan.
Right.
Very good.
You're absolutely factually correct. The only issue I take with it is that the word has developed a new meaning in modern English than it meant at the time.
Well, Draco's laws were fairly harsh.
Yeah, but that's what they chose. They
Everything
chose that.
was death or
the difference of what we're going through right now is that we're not choosing that at all. We get our biannual election to hope that the person that we chose stands by our values and is going to legislate in our favor or to our benefit, but they haven't.
But there's a corruption to it because it's very systematic and it's very organized and there's a lot of money behind it, and I don't know, it's so twisted out of our hands to some degree. It's like if you're not with the GOP or the Democrats, there's not a very high likelihood of you getting elected once you get into the federal level, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, but it stands that we have very little control over what laws are being passed upon us, and just factually, it is the complete opposite of anything that happened in Athens back in the day with Draco, because that what they asked for is what they got, and then they decided later that we didn't mean it, because what they did before they had the guy write down all the laws is like. Sometimes they did it, sometimes they didn't. It kind of depended on who it was and what they did.
So you're saying currently we're living in anti-draconian times?
Yeah, really.
Well, look at the last 4 years. General Flynn was investigated for the Logan Act. And we've heard repeatedly in the last week that the Biden administration is talking to foreign leaders about what will happen in 2021. That is literally violation of the Logan Act. And it is selective enforcement based on who's
Well, yeah, selective enforcement is why Hillary Clinton is still walking free. Selective enforcement is why Strzok and Page aren't sitting in a jail cell somewhere. Same for McCabe. Same for Comey. It's different rules for different people, which is a lot of the complaints that the populace in general has, unless it goes in the favor of people on their team.
Which really goes to show that those in power do fear draconian type of punishment, but they've convinced the mass, the populace, that draconian punishment is bad for them when it's good for us. It would be good for us if somebody were enforcing the laws even upon the people making the laws.
Well, there's a significant portion of the libertarian, even a lot of the mainline GOPers, who want less law to begin with, to be draconian about. So
that's true, but we have a lot of law. And granted, libertarians in some ways are right. We could do with less law. And we could do a lot with less confusing law, because you shouldn't need a degree in order to understand the fundamentals of the laws of your land. But you do need a law degree to understand the fundamentals of the laws of the land.
But could you imagine a population that understood what draconian meant and just the definition of the word itself, draconian, and not have an issue with a voting company named Dominion?
I don't understand how they missed it in the first place.
Yeah. Dominion is literally control.
Yeah.
It's very, I just want them so bad to get busted for what they have been doing, and I cannot see how they can't be with the woman at the Wayne County. She was at Cobo Hall. She was the Dominion operative at the county at Cobo Hall, who did a 24-hour stint from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. the next day. She was there at 4:30 when the numbers jumped. She has eyewitness accounts. She's made statements of what she saw, which were them running taped off ballots that didn't have an authorization number, a barcode basically, and cycle through them hundreds of times. She's the software analysis person who wasn't allowed in certain areas of the building where they were making food. Meanwhile, everybody brought in coolers full of food, supposedly, for themselves. Just absolute shadiness across the board. And Dominion's responsible for it. Dominion has excuses such as, Trump's numbers went to Biden's because they didn't do a software update in Michigan. Trump's numbers went to Biden in Georgia because they did do a software update. Trump's numbers went to Biden in Wisconsin because they did or did not do a software update. And Nevada's got a couple counties. Arizona's got several counties.
All of them. Our state is run by the Dominion counting tabulating system.
Arizona?
Yeah.
I meant Alabama. But yeah, Arizona.
Alabama's not contested.
No, but they did have quite the funny election in 2018.
There's articles by, I think it's the New York Times, and I think another, I don't know if it was the Wall Street Journal or some other sort of middle of the road publication, that had articles in 2016 about the problems with the Dominion voting system. 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, 4 years ago, they had problems with Joe Biden running for president.
Yeah.
Biden Inc. articles.
I'm sending you something, Jay, that my mom sent me earlier. I don't know if you've seen it. It's just a screen cap. I don't know what it came from, and I didn't look it up, but it's a photo of what is claimed to be from a Dominion computer seized in Germany of what the actual electoral votes were.
Oh, that's beautiful. Club. That's actually about 110 more than I gave Trump in my, which is messed up because it's exactly what Biden got. I had Trump 305, and now Biden's at 305. But is Dominion not an American company? From what I understand, there's a lot of.
It's Canadian, primarily owned by Canada, but the CCP in China has a 46% stake in it.
Are you fucking kidding me? And it's the servers are based in Germany.
No, that's just a server. That was. I don't even know if that's true. If they have,
I've heard reports that they were based in Germany. The servers.
Well, the reports are that somehow we seized servers that were located in Germany. My guess is that there are servers in every country, because that's how those countries would get our election results, independent of having to rely on other media in the U.S. So that's their backdoor to confirm, quote unquote, confirm the numbers of votes in those countries based on the states that use those systems.
Because Michigan, you can go to the Secretary of State and they have the numbers, and up until they shut it down, the Michigan numbers had Trump winning. Had Jimmy Jones, the black fighter pilot in Michigan winning Senate, and meanwhile they're calling it for Biden, but the actual Secretary of State's numbers were wildly different than what was being presented by the media. And you think the Secretary of State who does the voting would have the right numbers.
Well, you'd think. But I mean, I hope that Sidney Powell is correct. That this is, in fact, the Kraken that they're going to unleash. And hopefully there are enough people that are paying attention to do something about it. I'm concerned that there is a large cabal of people, both useful idiots in the voting population and amongst the other globalist world governments, like Trudy espoused to, that are going to force this result that they prefer over the actual result.
Yeah. See, I don't want the Kraken release. I want Legion defeated. That's I want the 300 co-contributors and spies and everybody involved courteously, using much courtesy, thrown off the cliff into the ocean. The Hydra operatives busted. That's what I'm looking for here.
Pretty much.
Right, Garrick?
Sure.
We got anything else we cover, or we'll head into the off hours?
I think that's all I've got.
All right, then.
Wrap the shit up.
Diz, you got anything you want to maybe rehash the naming of Athens and possibly defend Poseidon's use of horses as opposed to Athena's olive tree? Anything like that?
No.
All right. Then. I personally think horses are more useful than olive trees, and we should be calling it Poseidonia and not Athens.
Wait a second. No. Listen. They didn't use horses that fucking much in Greece. Okay, like they had their chariots and it was a travel-y thing. It's like cars. Okay. But olives were a food, they were a fuel source, they were, you know, the oil that they used to fry shit, that they perfumes, soap. No. They could survive without horses. They could not have survived without olive trees.
Poseidon, yeah. Horses could have been a food source.
Yeah, yeah. They ate horses and they rode horses and they probably fucked
Horses could
horses.
have been a light source.
But no.
Horses can give you everything that olives could have and more. Can't get glue from olives, can you? No, you can't.
I'm pretty sure you can.
Can't get fertilizer from olives. No. Horse.
Yeah, you can.
I don't think you know what you're talking about. Poseidon. Yeah. All right, we're done here.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Well, I believe in good vibrations is what creates a beautiful nation. All you need is the will to do right.